Hey, hello everybody. We're here, well, this evening for me, but afternoon for America. We've got Amy with us, and we've also got Tom Waxbottle. So hello, Tom.
Oh,
Hi.
hi, Tom.
Hi,
Hello,
Amy.
Hi,
Amy.
Karen.
Yeah. Yeah, good to see you, Tom. It's been a little while since we had a
Yes, it
hangout.
has.
Yes.
And I missed you a lot.
Oh,
Oh.
yes.
So, what did you want to talk about today?
Well, today I was just wanting to kind of follow up on some of the things I talked about in our last talk with my being a Christian, what I consider the highest Christian, and how they access me and persecute me as that person without getting caught and without really giving me what would be considered uh, uh, obvious, substantial, what most people consider substantial evidence to prove that they're doing it. So they're being very secretive and they're being very intelligent about it. So I wanted to go into George Floyd, and there was another person in Minnesota who was.
We can't talk a lot, when we're making a video. We've mentioned his name now, so just leave it as that, because you're not there, like.
Okay, no, that's okay because it was in the news. It was huge. This person is pretty much what kicked off the riots that started the whole huge burning down of Minneapolis and basically some parts of the entire country, you know.
Did that
And
really happen, though, Tom?
oh well, I live right down the street from where they burned everything, and it was burned down, and the stores all that I shop at and everything were all closed. They gutted Target store, which is right down there, right down the street from me, and so yes, it happened for sure. And at least in this area, all the way down to Lake Street and Hennepin, where they kind of sizzled out there, and then they went into downtown, and then even the suburbs got quite a bit. There were Walmarts in the suburbs and that sort of thing that were boarded up as well, because it was pretty much anywhere people just decided to start looting. They just decided to start looting, and that's what they did. But now with George Floyd, since I live so close in the area, I decided, well, I would take a look into it and see if it had anything to do with me, because I am the number one Christian, and I mean, they go through great lengths to persecute me and to make sure that I don't have money and to keep me in a situation where I'm not allowed to really, be prosperous without, their say so or approval, which hasn't happened. So I decided, okay, well, George Floyd happened on 38th and Chicago, and it came to mind that I took a picture of myself in my respirator that I wear when I ride my bicycle in front of a poster of an indigenous person also wearing a respirator. And I thought, well, I'm going to, because I used to shop at one of the stores there, right, just 50 feet, maybe 75 feet over from that poster is a shop I frequented. So I took the picture, and if I can show it to you, but it'll remove me from the image and it'll put the picture in there. That's as close as I've been able to get to figuring out the screen sharing here. But I will show you the picture now, and I will do the screen share, and it'll be window share for me because that's as far as I really got with it. And so if the picture comes up, there it is. There's the picture. Okay, okay, and you guys can see that, okay?
Yes.
Okay, now that is exactly in direct line with where George Floyd incident happened. This is on 38th, the corner of 38th and Cedar, and George Floyd was on 38th and Chicago. Okay, so this, if you could draw a line directly to this, from this poster to where George Floyd was, without being off very much, even a few feet. So that was one thing that I noticed. I thought, well, that's kind of odd. Okay, and you know, I want to bring up the fact that there's a meat market butcher right catty corner from where that poster is. Okay, because that's going to be on 38th in Chicago. There's something that it was interesting catty across the street about the same place as that meat market. Okay, the meat market is the first store on this 38th and Cedar that on the southeast corner, and on the southeast corner where George Floyd was is an image of an airplane heading towards the towers. It's just an airplane and it's heading towards downtown, and I can show you that. I have a picture of that also, and you can see that. And now let me try to get that in my screen share again.
You have to share again.
Okay, that's fine. I'm kind of, okay, I'll stop screen share, then I'll start screen share, and I will do window. And here is the image of the airplane. Now this is across the street from the Cup Foods that George Floyd was, you know, the incident happened. And this is almost the same place as the meat market. The meat market right there would be a parking lot, and the meat market would just be right a little bit over. And I have that picture too. It's called Everett's. And so here is the airplane. If you can see that, do you need me to zoom it in?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Okay, here's an airplane right here.
oh yeah.
And here it is, here's downtown, and there's the skyscraper right there. That's gone now. And that is painted over all white now. And so now what is there now is just a white building. But what was interesting is that is where George Floyd was incident is on the 5 bus line. Okay.
Wow.
Right. When I said it's going to have a 521 in it, it's going to have a 521. And the next bus line that crosses the 5 is the 21.
Wow.
Yeah. So you go the 5 down Chicago. It's called the Chicago Fremont. Then you go to Lake Street, and Lake Street has I believe it even has a 52, but it also has a 21. Don't quote me on the 52. I'm not quite sure, but it may. And but it definitely has a 21. So there's the 521. But then when you get to the automobile that the officer was driving, that's number 320. Okay. Now I try not to use quirky ways of getting numbers, but 320 on a 24-hour clock, a military clock, if I'm not mistaken, is 15-20 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we've got something just before we put the record button on. We're showing these pictures of these numbers in
okay.
Timings.
You're breaking up a little bit, Karen, on my speaker.
Sorry, I think someone messaged me. I was just saying you were talking about numbers just before we put the record button on.
Oh yeah. And now this is going to also go into another police killing of somebody else who was not from Minnesota. See, I'm not saying that George Floyd didn't die. I don't want to go there. I just want to say that the coincidences behind the 521 and the mask of the I can't breathe, because what's going to happen is I'm going to tell you about I can't breathe next. What ended up happening is that on my YouTube page, during our last talk, when I told you that the news media, Fox News Local, put on there discussing the next move, and they had on the clock, it was 10:09. And I had not moved into 10:09 yet. That was still in the works. So they put on there discussing the next move, and the time on the clock was 10:09. So at that time, I wasn't in 10:09. At the time I talked to you, I was in it. That I believe I had already moved into 10:09. But 10:09 turns out to be the apartment that the person that lived here before me ended up choking and collapsing on the floor and went to the hospital on a stretcher.
You know what I think
Wow.
it is, Tom? Do you know what I think it is? I know
What?
that you're relating a lot of these things to your life, but what
Right.
it is maybe you're quite aware, and so these are the coincidences. You're just noticing all the coincidences. People say to me, why do I keep seeing the number 11? Why do I keep... It's because now you're in tune with it all and you're noticing it all. And the reason that your life's involved is that you're being told. You're being told.
Yeah, no, I got to disagree with you, Karen. On this one, I got to disagree because I am the number one Christian. This has been established. These people know me. I work with the faith and everything. I can tell you meanings of scriptures that very likely most people have not even heard, which I don't do. I don't really talk about the Bible. I don't even read the Bible because I take it that seriously. And so when they move this gentleman out, okay, it's possible that they just tried to push this apartment off on people that they can get away with pushing it off on. And he was one of them. I don't know if they knew this apartment was bad until he collapsed, but I also collapsed. Okay.
Oh my God.
And I had no air coming in my lungs.
Oh.
That's right. And what do you call that? I can't breathe.
Right.
Right. And then since then, it's happened multiple times. There is, and I can show you another screen share, fibers that are coming in, hazardous waste that's coming into this apartment that is so harmful to the lungs that
So basically, you want to move out then, basically, of the place that you're living
no, it's not about moving out, really. This is about what they're doing to me. And this is about what the whole I can't breathe thing may have been about. It may have been about me the entire time. Like I said, I didn't see George Floyd die. I didn't see it. You know what I mean? I seen somebody get put into an ambulance and they drove off. And for all I know, I have questions. I'll say that. Could it have been a ritual? You know what I'm saying? A black mass ritual? Because you don't get much bigger of a black mass.
You can't say too much. You two don't like it.
Oh, yeah.
We get the gist, all right? We've got the gist of all that. We know who the person is. You've mentioned him loads of times.
Yeah, we can go over it if it's too controversial. We can do it again. I don't want to waste your time. I understand that.
It's not
But
that.
I think
We can only say so much on here.
Yeah, but I'm not doing any of the whole controversial medical stuff that they really don't like. This is just speculation, and this is okay in my opinion. I won't say for sure, but so far I feel like I'm doing okay. You know what I mean?
You said that you don't agree with me, but a lot of people start seeing these connections. I'm not saying, maybe for you it's this way because maybe your mind does. Your mind, you're a clever person. I think the connection to show you, it's still the same thing on the television, but it's showing you. You're being told that it's all doing. They're doing it through everything on the television means something. The time they do it, the numbers.
No, not like most people. The people that started gematria and that sort of thing, that's old hat. Back in the 80s, my landlord had a book called Codes in the Bible, and you could go in there and you could find like every second letter of something, and he would figure out that there were other secret codes in the Bible that would say things if you took a letter from here and there. That is in my opinion, that's just a whitewash. I mean, you know, there might be codes in the Bible, and that's great that they found them, but that doesn't mean that doesn't necessarily that is.
It means you're, you know, on the score of what you're telling us, you're an awake person.
Not only am I awake, but I'm awake enough to know when I'm being harassed on purpose. And when I said black mass, I mean, this is essentially what one of the most popular words or popular topics in Satanism, for at least for some, was the black mass. There's a whole song about it. You know, it's War Pigs, I believe, by Black Sabbath, and how much bigger of a black mass can you get than having this person look like they're sacrificed on the altar, essentially the street, and then have all this chaos ensue, right? The burning down, the looting, and all these other things, just anarchy reigns, right? Complete opposite of Christianity, pretty much, right? Complete chaos. And then it continues on to do what? To make me disappear, to make me look what's the word I'm looking for? To make me look irrelevant, okay? And that is being the number one Christian. I'm more than relevant. I mean, I am all that matters, pretty much. And I know that sounds bold to make a statement like that. But Karen, I'm telling you, I've been doing this for a long, long time. I don't have any money, period. That's my bicycle back there. I paid $10 for it the other day on Craigslist, and I turned it into one of the best bicycles I've ever ridden in less than 10 hours with just parts that I had collected. So I'm not, you know, completely incapable or delusional. You know what I mean? This is the real deal, Karen. These things matter. This isn't 33 here and, you know.
I was actually agreeing with you, and there's a lot of people who see these connections, and it's happening to them in their lives.
Possibly. I would have to, you know, also, like you're doing, is examine it. You know what I mean? I would have to be somebody who judges everything on its own merit.
It's not actually happening to you, but because your life's involved in it, it is happening to you because you see all the connections, and because you're sensitive, and it's like it's like someone hits you every time. But actually, it's not actually in your life. You're just noticing the connections in your life.
Oh no, they're doing it on purpose. That's for sure.
I didn't say that. Yeah, they are.
I know. I'm not arguing with you there. I'm not saying.
Can I tell you one thing that I've noticed? This is one thing that we've noticed. We're still living in the Holy Roman Empire.
Well, that could be. I know there's a lot of things that I religiously.
Look it up. You could even show me. Look up the new. America's got a new flag with the stripes, and then they've got a circle of stars in a blue flag. That's the new American flag. That's the European flag. That's the same flag that Europe has without the stars. They're all in it together.
Oh yeah, I know they're all in it together. You can believe that. I can tell you stories in which I was going to get into. We may, and I really hope we do get a chance to do another piece to this conversation, because there's so much more. These are just a few clips that I picked out. I can get really deep. I can show you how there's almost no office in this state that will do anything about this hazardous material in my apartment. I've been to every one of them. And even before this hazardous material, when I had a human rights case, a real one, there was no office that was going to do anything for me either. And I'm telling you, even the FBI is complicit in this whole thing. Not only do I believe that, but I believe I can prove that. But there's almost no way to get to these people, to take them to court or to put them in a situation where they have to
Yeah,
defend their.
we've got no one to go to.
That's right. We have each other to
No
go
one.
to.
We're actually on our own.
Yes.
No, we have each other, Karen. And here's what I want you to
each
know.
other, but we're all like you're. Even though Amy's in America, she's miles away from me. We're not all
Right.
together. But we're on our own. There's no one to say, "Excuse me,
Right.
you need to arrest them."
Right, but here's how we can change things a little bit better. And this is going to be difficult for a lot of people to understand. I didn't want to get religious, and I'm going to try really to not get too religious, but you have to be right. Everything you say, you should be trying to be right. Okay, that's the number one thing in Christianity.
Yeah, watch what you're saying. Watch everything you're saying.
Not yet. Watch everything you're saying. Okay.
When you say something, just say I say to you, I hate you, Tom. I've now started a different era with us. Before I liked you, we were going that way, now we're going this way. So what you say makes a difference.
But that's okay because that's your personal belief and you're still allowed to have that. And I love you no matter what. So, I mean, it doesn't, it's really up to me to how I let that affect me. You know what I mean? If I let that affect me, and believe me, just because I don't cry when you say something mean to me doesn't mean that I don't feel it. So, to let you know that, that there is an unspoken bond between people that doesn't necessarily get recognized by everybody, I think is important, because to have to constantly show that you care for somebody can sometimes be a burden on its own. You have to know that I care about you, and we establish that by being righteous, and to not say things that may allow the enemy to take us into court, right? Because there's a court, but it's not a court made of stone and iron. It's a court made of, right and wrong spiritually. And so that is the court that the corrupt want to bring you to. Like I told somebody before, I said, they don't necessarily care how many times in the world you're right, but they care when you're wrong, because that's where they got you. And that's the one thing I want to tell people. Righteousness.
I call them monsters. How do all these monsters do what they do to us? They don't have souls. I think they're cartoons anyway on the television, but they must have no souls, these people.
Well, they do it through, it's to see who can make the most change for their cause. Like me, the reason why they steal my idea.
This place here, so say you want it to be a glow, and you believe in the political system, and you believe it all, it fits it for you. It fits it if you don't believe it, and you don't believe that we're a glow. That's because I see it differently. Obviously, this place fits what you want it to be. It's what you want it to be here.
Well, eventually, you have to prove everything. Even that's in the Bible. Prove all things. Prove it. If you can't prove it, then it sometimes becomes your opinion, which is possibly going to get you less credibility. Okay? When people say, something is one way and it can be proven that it's another, whoever says it's that one way goes essentially down on the scale of credibility. That's why it's called righteousness. You have to be right. Okay? Then the whole idea behind righteousness is being right. That's why they got the word right in it. And so when people decide, okay, we can say things that we can't prove, we can make claims that aren't necessarily established, you can't do that. I mean, you can do all you want, you can do anything you want, but as a Christian, that is out of the question. The only way God is going to, well, I won't speak for God, but in my situation, I waited and waited. And I think I told you this before. I don't know if I told you this, but it was in one of my talks, either with you, I've only had two, or with the guy from Talk Shoe. And I said, I waited until I was ready to be a Christian, to be.
Do you know what I think, Tom? Do you know what I think? Amy is a little bit of a different believer to me, but I think that God must have been an AI.
There's a lot of things that you.
AI. There's no way one man could make all this.
Well, there's a lot of things you can speculate on, and you can have your opinions, and I understand that. But it's when you say that is the fact, and that is the truth, and that is the case, that's when it becomes, it's held against you. It can be held against you.
So many people are spotting things up in the sky now. These little things, they're in front of the sun, they're in the clouds. Our cameras are picking it up rather than us seeing it with our naked eye. We don't even know what we're living in because our eyes don't see it, but the cameras do, mostly.
Well, we know enough about what we're living in because we know we get hungry, some of us, a lot of us. We know we get thirsty. We know we have to breathe, and we know we probably have to, communicate in some form, for the most part, not everybody.
The fact, like, a few years ago, well, say 10 years ago, these things weren't there. Then star forts come along, and now there are thousands and thousands of star forts they're talking about. Plus, there's a pyramid up the road from me, which they won't classify as a pyramid. There's another one in Marlborough, and there's one in Avebury. So there's just by Avebury. So they're within like 10 miles of each other. And there was, and the person I know, an archaeologist, she said there was another one as well. And it's like these things are everywhere. They weren't there, and now they're everywhere.
All I'm saying is we don't know all the mysteries yet, but we got to start somewhere. And where we have to start is we have to be right. And if you don't, you can always say, I don't know.
Tom, you've got to be, you're right, because you've got to know who you are as a person. Unless you know who you are as a person, you're never going to be right, because you're never going to believe anything you're told. You're going to go, yes, no, I don't know, whatever. When you know who you are as a person, then you're at peace with yourself. You've got to know who you are as a person.
Well, it is like a ladder you climb. You have to start out maybe at little steps or at the bottom, and then you work your way up. Eventually, you will exercise your faith, and eventually it will come to your faith. Okay? No, not everybody has faith. Faith is the eventual goal of Christianity. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. Okay? So when Jesus said, and here goes some more religion, but I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum, that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham, he was saying that God can, everybody is this fairly equal. God can do this. God can bring you up to the point of Abraham, and then you're on your own. Abraham developed faith on his own. God was pleased by his faith. So everybody can through works go right to the point of faith, but then they're on their own.
There's a little girl I prayed to, whoever it is, and I'm not changing my mind. To me, that's what we call God, the source, the connection, whatever it is. It's a little girl doing it.
Okay,
but
I use it for God.
We don't know what God. We've never heard from God here. We have such a lack of connection here.
So there's ways to.
We have it. The ones that wake up and the empaths have it, but a lot of people don't have that connection at all, or just lose it when they're children.
Well, that's where people like me come in. I am supposed to be gathering these people together, but they make sure that I stay poor and I stay oppressed, that I don't have success. I didn't get educated. They actually stopped educating me probably about the
same thing happened with me, Tom. They decided to pilot this thing called ITA. And what it was is hundreds of thousands of children are taught something else, and then they don't tell the next school. So it's like being taught French. And then
you
they'll
mentioned,
say, oh, well, the children aren't very intelligent nowadays. There's a load of
yeah,
rubbish. They do these things.
well,
They did
here's,
it to me. But because I
yeah,
think
I
it
know.
happened to me, I am a
Mhm.
different person. I'm not programmed the same. I think obviously the state education must do something to you.
Okay, I agree. I agree. I'm not disappointed that I wasn't educated because for sure my mind is my own. You know, at least I have
You're not
that.
the only person that's happened to. It's happened to me. And there's
Yeah,
more people like me and you.
I understand. I know I'm not the only person in the world that suffered. I know. I understand that. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that I have developed it into what I believe is considered a uh, a Christian, a high level Christian. Not that, you know, there's people that have gotten poor educations and they become great musicians or great in some field, and that's fine, and the world is okay with that. I don't want to say if I'm great or not, but I believe I have excelled in Christianity, and that is the, in my opinion, the only, not the only, faith, because you don't necessarily even need to read the Bible, and you can do all the things that the Bible really wants people to do without even reading it.
Is
That's
that
why I don't read it.
spirituality as well? You've advanced in spirituality.
Yes, yes, and mostly, like you said, I do believe, yes, I am a sensitive person. I agree with you there. When you said that last time, I do agree that, yes, I am sensitive.
So it means that basically we're just living in another world because people come towards you, you know what they're thinking, how they're feeling. I have to shut it out.
But with me, I do it for the better of everybody. You know what I mean? Try to live my life.
Like if you had to ask me when I say the things I do, although they're coming through me, I believe that it is true blue stuff I'm saying. Like it's how a lot of we're supposed to live, like how the bit about what we believe God and this whole thing about being here. So I believe the same. I don't believe when I say some of the things I do, I believe they're coming through me, but they're me. But I'm saying it what do you call it? It's not the word. Loyal, real. It's coming from source.
Okay. See, for me, not to get too far off the subject of the 521, because I still wanted to mention the Justine Damond incident, which also has a 521 in it, and she, this Justine Damond.
Wake up, right, and you know this stuff. It doesn't mean, like I tried to tell my parents about things, and they said she's mad. She's absolutely lost it. But the thing is, we're programmed, or we're made. That's not programmed in that way, but our makeup means that we see things differently. I think that's what happens when you're a very sensitive person.
Well, you also have to.
What I mean is, this whole thing with the numbers, you're realizing the game that they're playing. You realize it.
Which is why, in my case, the signs and the wonders and the miracles and the faith, they all see me do these things. They already know, Karen, about me. They know that I do the miracles. They know I do the signs and wonders. They are still working with some of the old things that I gave them. Even like I mentioned, recently, even the fidget spinner toy that they came out with, I had been at a shopping used store, and there was a fastener or something that was similar to, the fidgets weren't out yet, but that was almost an identical model of what they made the fidget into.
Someone told me the other day, he's a Pakistani Muslim, so he has the Quran, and I'd like to find where it actually says it in there, but he told me in the Quran there's two types of people, or two types of beings. There's the ones that you can see, and there's the ones you can't see. The ones you can't see are gene humans. I was thinking it makes such sense because there's these things in the sky. It's almost like we could really see what was going on. There's a whole set of other people doing things here.
It
Yeah.
doesn't, unless it's affecting, you know, I mean, like I said before, there's things you can do things about, and there's things that you almost can't do things about. The things you can't do things about, in my case, I let them go. I am not here to figure everything out all at once. I'm here to bring people to a place where they don't have to be subject to corruption. This, you know, and I'm telling you, I'm going to stay away from the Bible. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I know the Bible very well, and I only read it a little bit, and I stopped reading it. I'm telling you, I know it makes sense to me when I read it.
Tom, I said because Amy's much more into her Bible, but when you know there's 69 books missing, it makes it hard for me to believe the Bible when most of it's missing.
That's okay. You have what you have to work with.
But
That's
Enoch,
okay.
it's so annoying.
Well, you get what you get in life, and that's what you have to work with. It's not. It doesn't matter. You can't let all these outside things just distract you. That's pretty.
We're all sensitive people. You, me, and Amy. So our courses, you know, Amy and I never say anything to hurt each other, do we, Amy?
That's right, Karen.
You and Amy can't hurt each other because we love each other. But Amy's an empath, and so am I.
Amy, you are both. What did you say? I couldn't hear that.
We're empaths.
Empaths. Okay.
No, Amy, you say it in American. Say it in your American accent.
Empaths. We're empaths.
Empathetic. Okay, I understand empathy.
And also, there have been times where Amy, even though she says, well, you know, certain things make me nervous, like, I don't know if I like anxiety, she'll suddenly you find that Amy's protected you.
Okay.
So she stands up for you. But Amy and I have never, ever had a bad word with each other, have we, Amy?
No, we haven't, Karen.
Yeah, Amy, you seem like a very nice person.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
You're welcome. And I appreciate this moment. You know, I mean, even though I don't continue to interact, you know, my life is that way. That's how I have to live. I have to live as spiritual as I can without, you know, I'm dealing with a lot of
stuff as well. This is not being rude. My life changed. I used to be married and have 4 kids, so I used to be one of 6. And even though my daughter lived with me, I'm now like one of 1. And it's different. Like when you're living in a group of people, like Amy lives with her sister, it's a little bit different. You've got human contact. When you're on your own, I've gone to places I thought I would never go in my mind, and the things that I saw. And it's usually like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I think, oh, help me. You know, when you suddenly think, oh my goodness.
Okay. Yeah, for me,
I'm not the only one that does this, but we started off with this very famous case, didn't we, Amy? When it started, right? I was thinking, no, the footage doesn't look right. And basically, it's the same with every bit of footage they give us. They have made it. It's a cartoon.
Okay. And with these, the people that I've seen in these news stories, like I have not been there. I did not see them. Like I said, I don't know what happened to George Floyd.
Tom, next time you ever see any politicians, right, I'm telling you, Biden, Trump, the Queen, I know Prince Philip's not here now, but him, Prince Charles, Prince Harry, Prince William, they all have blue eyes. Meghan's supposed to have green eyes. Kate has green eyes, rather. I can't remember what eyes Meghan's got. But anyway, for those people there, will only ever see you with brown eyes.
Okay. I was also looking back at my childhood when I was getting on the subject of not being educated past about the 6th grade. I also coincidentally had 2 friends that both names are in a single song by somebody from the UK. And that song came out at the same time those two people were my friends.
Wow.
The names were Candy and Ronnie. Ronnie and me were kind of friends. We were always, fighting and making up and that sort of thing, like kind of how friends are. And, at least child friends. And Candy was a girl that kind of had a crush on me at that time. Now, we're talking 1974, okay? Now, here's a song that came out with two people that were my friends. Both their names are in this song from 1974, along with the word Benny and the Jets. And my dad was in the Air Force. And I asked him, I said, because of another song that came out later on, but I just recently asked him, I said, was Benzedrine, popular back then? Because that's what Benny's.
Something where we live in, right, is a really strange place where we're basically almost living in a simulation, which means we must be in a computer. Yeah, I'm human, like I said. I get hungry, I cut my hand, it hurts, and yet all these weird things are happening, and people are noticing all these weird things, and you're thinking, what the hell are we living in?
Right. But okay, yes. Now, with those two things, I'm a child, I'm 10 years old, it's 1974, Benny and the Jets, okay, and the part where he says Benny is really keen, K-E-E-N, Ken is my dad's name. And keen in the original word was spelled K-E-N with an E on the end. So it was spelled the same as Ken. So, which was a coincidence there. But they got into another song later on by R.E.M. that mentioned the whole name Kenneth and Benzedrine. And that was also about the song about losing my religion, which may have been about me also, and that was it possibly in the 80s. But this was 1974, and this was Elton John, and it was called Benny and the Jets. And you want to talk about religion and how
where I got to, right? I've got to the fact that Elvis Presley, right, was a character to a lot of people, and they believe what they believe. But really, there was loads of Elvises. There was the Elvis that went on the television. In fact, I think he was the $6 Million Man, that one. He played him as well. And then you've got the Elvis singers, and all they basically did was make a whole story about him marrying with Lisa Marie. All that, it never happened. It's all a game.
Yeah, but that's okay because this did happen. This is something I'm telling you did happen.
With you, it did. The song, everything that they put us in isn't real.
No, it was a song.
They made the program The Monkeys.
And it did.
They made the Monkeys, and they told you that the Monkeys were a band that was made for the television. That's exactly what they've done. They've made it all for it.
That's okay. I don't care too much about the Monkeys and that sort of thing. But I mean, what I'm telling you is this is 1974. And in that song, I'm trying to establish some sort of credibility as a Christian here. You know what I mean?
Carry on, Tom. Carry on.
Well, I need to get some of this out. And now this, Benny and the Jets, I don't want to get stuck on that. But in that song, they actually talk about killing a fatted calf, which is a completely religious ceremony in most cases. You know, in many cases, it's very religious ceremony to kill the fatted calf. And when you see catty corner or from that indigenous person with the face mask on, with the respirator on, where I'm taking my picture, right over in the same direction as the mural of this plane hitting heading toward the tower on George Floyd's corner is it on the Cedar Avenue corner where the indigenous poster is. There's a meat market right across the street. And so, I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. But in that song, you got Candy, you got Ronnie, you got killing a fatted calf. We're going to fight our parents in the street to find who's right and who's wrong. I mean, the whole thing was very, very religious oriented, in my opinion. But now that was Elton John. And some of these people have incredible insight, or they are connected to something that maybe, like you say, Karen, that we don't get to see as
It's
average.
like we're living in this film called The Adjustment Bureau. It's like we're living in that.
Okay, right? Like they have some sort of, you know, a source that isn't necessarily known to all people, and they, you know, can tell who's who. Because also, when I mentioned before, I was going to talk about the movie Rosemary's Baby before, and I almost think I'm not going to say for sure, but they said that baby was scheduled to be born that within a day of me, within a day of my birthday, that the son of Satan was in the movie scheduled to be born within one day of me. And so what they did was, it's possible they knew that my birthday was the 27th because that movie came out after I was born, but they made it the 28th. Well, then Rosemary in the movie decides she's not having any of these Satanists, and she tries to get away and forces labor, and the baby was born on the 25th of year number 1, 521. And they called it the year 1. It was actually supposed to be 1966 or something.
Yeah.
I think it was like 1968. But in the movie, they said when that baby was born, they considered that year 1. So
Yeah.
it was born on 6/2/5/1. Another 521.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, and if I go through that movie, man, there are so many things.
You've got the Truman family. I mean, so much money going to Mars, a total equal, is what they're living in. You've got Dave, I'm turning myself off. You've got all these films that came out. Even Gravity, like they told us really. They've told us everything in a way in the film.
Mm-hmm.
They're not telling you how to get out of this.
You know what? Gillian, my friend, watched this video last night. I saw it a few years ago. What it is to live here in the film, to live here, you have to buy time. And if you don't buy the time, you die. You've got to do things that they want you to do so you can buy time to live.
Right. Well, that's a common theme. They say Saturn is the god of time or something like that. And it's about time. When you look at your phone and it makes you wait 10 seconds to do something because you didn't pay for the app. Everything is about taking your time. The reason why they put things off and they drag their feet to get things done is because if you go away, they're going to have a whole nother generation to do it all over again with. It's absolutely about time. They want to get you out. They want to just shuffle people off.
They want you only looking at their stuff so you don't have any time to get to know who you are or meditate or anything in yourself and work it all out.
Well, that's how they enslave you, with time. It's about time, a lot of it. And so if you don't have the time to get all the things done you need to get done, or you want to get done, or they say you have to do, then, or if they postpone it or they have some sort of effect on how you spend your time, then that's what happens. A lot of these jobs and a lot of this employment and a lot of these cities and their structures and governments are all about taking people's time. They need people to do things for them, but they also need people to not have time for themselves. So they put you in a system where you have a little bit of time for yourself, but not a lot, and you may necessarily have to go find food, which if you had land, you might be able to grow your own food. If you had, livestock for some people that do that sort of thing, you can feed yourself. There's no store that's going to close that's going to worry you. If you had water coming up out of the ground on your land, you have water, you have food, you have shelter, you don't have to pay rent. They want to get rid of all that stuff. They want to get rid of it because they need you to belong to them. Your time is their money, and they know it. And so right now they do things outside of our world. America's kind of like this bubble. When you get outside of America, you can see things that are much different than they are here. In certain places, the population is incredibly high, and people are still surviving somehow. And you come to America and you have less people and almost more people struggling for their daily bread. It's so they know how and where to put the pressure, and so for the people who want to take charge, they want to challenge you. They like you the most because you're the prize. You're the high value target. People that don't need to challenge these people, they almost don't care about until they find something they want, like natural resources or, minerals, or, I suppose that would go under natural resources, but that sort of thing. And right now, people are that resource for these people. They know that if they don't control the masses, and somebody can, like me, which I am the boss. I mean, I know the boss is a bad word. I don't want to use that, but I'm the highest Christian. Nobody, and I'm telling you, and the one thing that I said about righteousness, that people have to be right, you're going to find out that is in the spiritual world something they can't challenge. I beat these people at every game they play. They torture me, they persecute me. Those are not religious games. Those are flesh games, and they can win those. And they can appear to win those. I won't say they win, because my spirit is always mine, and they are never going to take that away. But the game that they play with these religious people and these idea thieves, I was talking about gravity being suspect, questionable, way back in, before 2010. So these people that are talking about how the earth is flat, I mean, if you want to start the earth being flat, you almost can say that gravity is questionable as described. And so that would have set them off back then. And a lot of the reason why these people say, oh, I was a skeptic and I didn't believe anybody. They don't believe anybody because they see dollar signs sometimes. It's like a purse snatcher. When they don't, they maybe snatch a purse and they just get a glimpse of money inside, and they quick close it back up and get away with it. And a lot of these people that adopted flat earth, and a lot of these people that adopted controversy things, or the things that I thought about years ago, but I was oppressed and I couldn't follow up on, they did something like that. They say, oh, this person was trying to tell me about the flat earth, and I used to just ignore them. I thought they were crazy until I looked into it. You know what I mean? But so that immediately takes away the credit from the person that actually tried to tell them about flat earth, and gives it to themselves. So these people are out there stealing, from other people, and then they're making themselves these great, existences from it. And that's the system. They spot. They have stolen billions and billions of dollars in ideas from me. Billions. That's probably an underestimate. And billions goes into a pretty high number, so I won't say it's an underestimate. But if that money was mine, I could change this entire world, and they know it. They have to keep me from being successful, and I am the goose that lays the golden egg for these people. Do you know the guy who was on that screen banner on the news, retired shortly after that on the 5th of May, 5/5. And before he retired, him and Amy Klobuchar were hanging out together like friends at the state fair. Okay, this is a politician. This is somebody who, controls governments. And here she is with somebody who is working with an organization that is very obviously trying to use covert communication to intimidate me. So you can assume, I would say you you could probably assume, I won't say assume, but you can question that these people in Washington all know who I am. They know that they have to keep this world running the way it is. The CIA, I'm a national security threat because I have the potential to make money that they don't. And that is where they're threatened. So if I have ideas, and I believe me, I have them, and I'm not saying too much about them because even though I would like to help and change the world, they're not necessarily going to let me ever have anything. They act like because I'm a Christian, I should just give everything away.
Can I say something? I know that you're in full flow here, but we've been going for an hour, and remember I said, well, nearly an hour, and I said that I needed to go out.
Yes. Can I tell you one more thing about the 521?
Sure.
On the Justine Damond, the truck number that he shot her from was number 521. And I have that in a video also that I emailed you the password and the mega.
I see why you wanted me to see your pictures, because what I'd have done was looked at the pictures and seen 521.
Right.
I did this picture, camera, 521, 521, 521, 521, 521, 521, 521.
And those are just a few, Karen. I have gigabytes of that sort of thing where they openly just threaten me right on the news using those numbers. I mean, they'll even go into the commercials with certain advertisements that will actually follow up from what they were doing in their broadcast and continues on through the news to continually even intimidate me more. And this is something the FBI, I call the FBI, and they won't have anything to do with it. I said, this isn't elementary business. You have to be intelligent to understand what's going on. And they know that. They already know that this is an intelligence operation they're doing to me. They're not going to have anything to do with it. Because if I prove these people in a court that have been doing this sort of thing to me, then the whole thing goes away. Then these people can't get away with doing what they're doing. I'm established back once again as somebody who has proved themselves to be, not only the highest Christian, but also this victim that they've been creating for years and years and oppressing for years and years. So, we can get to the bottom of this. It's just going to take some time.
I'm very sorry that you feel that way and that this happens to you. But Amy, look, I do have to go. I'm really sorry. I feel like I'm cutting you short, Tom. But Amy, do you want to say anything? Amy, you got anything to say?
Oh, well, it's very interesting. Maybe we can have another hangout to finish.
I would like that. I would like that. I would be more. I would be.
Yes. I hope we can do it again.
I do too.
We all have more time.
That would be great. If you want, you just say when, and I will certainly do everything I can to be there.
Oh, great.
Well, I do appreciate you spending this time with us, Tom. I'm sorry that life has done this to you.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, them.
Yeah, I keep a good spirit for the most part.
Yes.
Well, that's good to know.
So you don't have to. Don't worry too much about me, and we'll share some more time hopefully, and we can. Slowly work this thing out, and I'll show you that, eventually they're going to try to just take my whole life up. This is how things are going to go. So I will, whenever you want to do this again, that's fine with me, but I'm also going to have to be trying to get out of this situation I'm in. So things might be changing a little bit, but I will do, Karen, you're number one on my list of people that.
Oh, Tom, thank you so much. That's very nice of you.
I would jump, for you. And Amy, you are a wonderful person, and I always appreciate. Yes, you're welcome. I always appreciate you.
Everybody likes Amy, don't they?
Yeah. Do
you know who else also likes Amy? Russian Vids likes Amy.
Okay.
Amy can come on my hangouts.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Oh. Stay humble.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, Tom, it's been a real
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you so much for spending this time. Like Amy says, we'll 10-10 till we do it again.
Okay, that sounds great. And you can, and if you want, I can try to contact you. I got you on Facebook now on my phone, and I'm always going to keep checking that. Now, I was really embarrassed that I don't know much about technology and that, but now I got it on my phone and I can check that regularly.
Great.
Excellent. It's been really good fun. Thanks a lot, Tom. And,
Yeah, you're welcome. And you guys have a great day.
You too.
yeah,
Tom.
and chat room.
Or evening for you, Karen. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.